April 13th, 1945. The war in Europe is ending. Near the banks of the Elbe River, in a quiet green field, a massive steam train sits motionless on the tracks. There is no smoke coming from the engine. There are no conductors. There are no guards. It looks abandoned. Two American soldiers, Major Clarence Benjamin and his jeep driver, are scouting ahead of their tank column. They spot the long line of cattle cars sitting in the middle of nowhere. Major Benjamin tells his driver to stop. He draws his weapon. He approaches the train cautiously. He expects an ambush. He expects German soldiers hiding in the cargo cars. But as he gets closer, he doesn't hear the sound of soldiers loading rifles. He hears whispering, thousands of voices, hushed, terrified, coming from inside the locked cars. Major Benjamin didn't know it yet, but he had just stumbled upon a tragedy and a miracle. This wasn't a supply train. It was a prison. And inside those wooden walls were 2,500 souls waiting to die. To understand the horror of this moment, we have to go back 6 days. These prisoners were Jewish men, women, and children from the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. As the Allied armies closed in, the Nazis didn't want to leave witnesses, so they crammed these starving families into cattle cars. Their destination was Theresienstadt, a camp where they would likely be exterminated. For 6 days, the train wandered across Germany. They had almost no food, no water, no sanitation. People were dying in the dark. They could hear American bombers overhead. They could feel the explosions shaking the tracks. They knew the end of the war was close, but they were trapped in a moving coffin. Then, on the morning of April 13th, the train stopped. The German track ahead had been bombed. They could go no further. The SS guards looked at their maps. They looked at the horizon, and they realized the Americans were coming. Cowardice took over. The guards stripped off their uniforms, threw down their weapons, and ran into the forest, leaving 2,500 people locked inside to rot. Back at the train, the silence was terrifying. Inside the cars, the prisoners didn't know the guards had fled. When they heard the engine of Major Benjamin's jeep, panic set in. They thought it was the SS returning. They thought, this is it. This is the execution. Major Benjamin walked up to the first car. He wasn't wearing a swastika. He was wearing an olive drab uniform. And on the hood of his jeep was a large white American star. Slowly, a few brave prisoners peeked through the cracks in the wood. They saw the star. They saw the face of a man who wasn't looking at them with hate, but with concern. The realization hit them like a lightning bolt. These weren't killers. These were liberators. Major Benjamin raised his camera, and in that split second, he captured one of the most powerful images of World War II. A young woman named Gina Rappaport burst out of the train. She's running up the grassy hill toward the camera. Her face is a mixture of pure agony and pure joy. She is laughing and crying at the same time. Behind her, the floodgates opened. Doors slid back. Men, women, and children poured out onto the grass. They didn't run away. They ran toward the soldiers. They fell to their knees. They kissed the boots of the Americans. They touched the jeep just to make sure it was real. Major Benjamin radioed back to his command. "Send everything. Send food. Send doctors. I have civilians here." Soon, the rest of the 30th Infantry Division, Old Hickory, arrived on the scene. These were battle-hardened men. They had fought across France and Germany. They had seen death every day. But when they saw the children on that train, many of them broke down and wept. The mission changed instantly. The war stopped for the 30th. Soldiers who had been trained to kill suddenly became nurses. They emptied their own pockets. They gave away their chocolate rations, their cigarettes, their water canteens. One survivor remembered an American soldier handing him a can of peaches. He said it was the first time in years he had tasted something sweet. He said it tasted like freedom. The soldiers set up field kitchens right there in the field. They protected the train all night, guarding the prisoners while they slept, not as jailers, but as protectors. For the first time in years, these families slept without fear. They knew that as long as those tanks with the white stars were parked outside, the Nazis could never touch them again. The Farsleben train is more than just a history story. It is a reminder of the thin line between life and death. If Major Benjamin had taken a different road, if the train had moved just a few more miles, 2,500 family trees would have been cut down forever. Instead, they lived. They moved to America, to Israel, to England. Decades later, the survivors held reunions with the soldiers who saved them. They showed them their children and their grandchildren. Generations of life that only exist because of two Americans in a jeep on a quiet Friday morning. This is why we remember. The German guards ran away, but the Americans stayed. If this story touched you, please hit the like button and subscribe. This is WW2 Chronicles. We'll see you in the next one.